I think that there's a lot of reasons for that, but I think the final nail in the coffin was the idea that we are a democracy, that there should be universal suffrage, one person, one vote, right? Because that's not the way that the founders framed the Constitution or set up, the government. So everything from the three branches to, states having sovereignty and things like that was completely destroyed and wiped out by granting one person, one vote. So now we have to deal with all kinds of problems like, people voting who shouldn't, who aren't citizens, or things like the welfare state blowing up. You would have never had this giant nanny state, welfare state that we have now, which is ironically making everyone far less free. So it's a country that was, founded on the basis of liberation. And by giving each person a vote, we've actually made it far less free and people have a lot less liberty than they used to.
So would you say that the America that we have is less representative of the electorate than it was previously?
Absolutely. So one of the reasons I think that's the case is when you have this giant machine, we've had a lot of, with elections, we've had a lot of contests and things like that, even since 2000, right? With the hanging chads, with Gore and Bush. There's everybody's always disputing the outcome and saying things weren't counted correctly. It's because we have 300 million people in this country. I think roughly 100 million of them can vote. 300 million people, about 100 million or so are like qualified to vote.
Mhm.
Um, what that does is provides massive amount of room for a giant shadow oligarchy, this deep state bureaucracy. Uh, it basically just makes such a giant machine out of the government that you really don't know who you're electing, and they're not going
Right,
and
but the
doing
question,
what they were
I
supposed to do.
completely agree. The
Yeah,
government's too big. But the question was is it more representative of the electorate?
I don't think it is at all. No.
How can that be the case if more of the electorate is putting input? I agree. The country's in the shitter. That's not the question. The question is, it seems to be that a lot of people who have bad ideas are able to express those ideas.
Yes.
So
So
that's a bad thing that people should be able to express their ideas, or it's a
no, it's
bad thing
not
that
that.
we, as people who disagree with
What an
those
idiot.
things, are not able to properly fight those ideas.
Well, once we instituted universal suffrage and everybody over a certain age can just vote, there's no other requirement. You don't have to have any skin in the game. What happens is the people who are the takers can vote to take from the people who are the doers. You have things now like giant political action committees that have, millions, even billions of dollars in funding. I think the last US presidential campaign was like one of the most expensive in history, billions of dollars of money coming from corporations and all kinds of political
And that won
action
the
groups.
election.
Yeah. So what happens is you're voting for what somebody is campaigning on, and then they get into office and they don't actually do any of that.
Exactly.
And all you have to choose from is this shit sandwich or this other shit sandwich. So there's really, like, as a Christian, more traditional patriarchist woman in this country, I don't feel we have anybody who represents my views, right? There's nobody for me to choose from. And I think a lot of people are in that boat. We're stuck with this crony capitalist right left dialectic corporate bullshit basically. So I don't think that the government we have represents the average person. I mean, if you look
I
at,
agree, but that wasn't the question. So the question
you
though
asked
is
me if I thought the
right.
electorate
And
was
so
being represented, and I don't.
the context being, if you're saying America was better before when only landowners could vote, I'm not disagreeing with that statement, but the clear conclusion, if more people started to vote and then we went away from that, then right now the government is representing what the people actually want, and when those people couldn't vote, we had a better America, which could be debated,
Do
but
you think the people who
well,
are
hold on,
being
hold on.
elected are actually
That's a different
representing the
question. That's a
electorate?
different question.
No, that's what you asked me. You said,
I'm
is
asking
the
you if it is
electorate being represented by those who are
yes,
elected? And my answer is no,
but the
because you don't even have people to choose from who actually represent the average
you didn't vote for
person's
Trump.
worldview. You have to
You
be
didn't vote for
rich.
Trump.
I did, but
I
only
mean,
because my husband told me to, and to cancel the vote of a feminist somewhere.
cool, bro.
So, but
So
this is what
I
we
know.
have to choose from. With there,
So
and I think almost
it
everybody
sounds
on
like your
both
argument
sides of the
is everybody
aisle.
who doesn't agree with me should not get to talk.
No, absolutely not. I'm
When it
saying
My
should
that
be
gosh.
my ideas are
Stupid.
better, so everybody should get to talk, and I will win.
no, my ideas are not better. Nobody should listen to me.
Then
Nobody
why are
should
we
vote for
fucking
me.
talking to you?
Because I'm saying we're here discussing and debating. I'm not supposed to be in charge. I'm not supposed to be running the country.
Yeah, her point. He's making this stupid argument that it's like, oh, so you're saying we should only listen to you and not listen to everyone else? Yeah, but she's saying that she shouldn't vote either. She's saying no one should vote or the women should vote, whatever. That's what she's saying. Um, if she were sitting there making the case like, oh, only I should have a say, then yeah, he would have an argument. But it's like the same stupid argument that like what's her face, the Rick James girl, Naima or whatever, when she debated Andrew, she said the same thing, like, oh well, why are we taking people's voices away and blah blah blah. Oh, so you think that half the country should vote, blah blah blah. And it's like, no, they think that no one should vote. And yeah, but she makes good points though. The only thing I disagree on is like when it comes to like Donald Trump, like listen, say what you want about Donald Trump, but he's like the closest thing to like a populist leader that we've had in years. So I think he deserves a little bit more credit than what she's giving him right here.
You better have something other than, come on, no way. How could you say such a crazy thing? Make an argument this time.
You literally just said
Mhm.
by giving each person a vote, it makes us less free.
Yes.
WTF.
I can demonstrate it.
Okay.
So under King George, colonists paid roughly 4% of what they made in taxes. Do you know what people pay now? We have the bottom half of people who don't pay income tax, but they pay sales tax, cigarette tax, gasoline tax. And if you do make any money, God forbid, people who are wealthy are now paying, 60, 70%, 30% tax. You pay your state taxes, your local taxes, your federal
See you later,
taxes,
Scott.
consumer
Thanks
taxes,
for
right?
stopping by.
How are we more free
No, that's
under
my
universal
question.
suffrage?
No, your claim is that we're less free.
Yes.
How's that even make? What does that have anything to do with what you just said?
Well, like I said, in the colonies, when we did not have universal suffrage, or in early America prior to 1920, we paid less in taxes. You keep more of your own money. That's a major tenet of freedom in and of itself. We were not subject to this giant political machine where you don't even get to vote for people who you actually think represent you. You're voting for people that are rich and wealthy and can get campaign funding from giant special interest groups. And that's all you have to choose from. So you're not even able to send somebody who's going. It used to be the case that when you went to Congress, you had a full-time job and you were only there for a small amount of the year, and you were there to do what the people sent you and told you to do. Now, these are career politicians that are somehow making tens of millions of dollars aside from their salary in Congress.
How does that make us less free? What does this have to do with anything?
I just explained to you how it makes us less free.
God,
Number
like
one, you don't get to even choose from candidates who actually represent you. You choose from candidates who represent special interest groups and corporations. That's a major problem for freedom.
What corporation chose Trump to be the president?
You could just look at his giant list of donors from political action committees and you'll know exactly. So it's probably BlackRock. It's probably Google. Yes, all of them.
So all of us, anyone here who voted for Trump, we were just shills for BlackRock?
I didn't say we were shills. It's not absurd.
What does BlackRock have to do with
listen,
anything?
Sir, you can't just appeal to incredulity and call that an argument. Just saying it's absurd, I don't believe it, I'm not convinced, is not an argument. You give me an argument.
BlackRock is not an argument. We all voted for who we wanted
so
to be
you
president.
Think that
so what is BlackRock? You brought up BlackRock, so don't leave this topic. What does BlackRock have to do with anything?
So they are a transnational corporation. They have no American loyalty whatsoever. They're not doing anything for the American people. They're buying up residential properties.
Who's president?
Everything. It has every. Okay, I'm going to be the incredulous one now. Dude, what the fuck? How can you say that? Like, duh. It's yes, of course. Everybody knows that giant corporate interests are not representing the little guy. So if what you care about is individual freedom, ironically, by granting universal suffrage, what you do is create the system we have now, which makes people less free. It does not do anything to represent the average person.
How many votes does BlackRock have?
It doesn't matter it doesn't matter if they're controlling everything. If these giant transnational corporations have
who I voted for.
What do you mean?
You saying that BlackRock has some influence over who became president?
Yeah, they have complete. So APAC, you don't think APAC has any influence?
I've never even heard of APAC, and so how could they possibly influence me.
Your ignorance is
Sure.
a very great argument on my behalf. You as a voter have no idea what the hell
Okay.
you're voting for. You don't know how the system works. You don't know where the funding is coming from for the people who you're voting for.
Isn't
And
that
so
a good-
you
is-
don't
wait,
even
isn't-
know.
is-
You as a voter are so ignorant that you don't even understand who you're voting for and what they're going to do, and that the promises they make are
pretty sure I
not to you,
understand
the
who I'm voting
voter. The
for, yeah.
promises they make are to APAC, BlackRock, Google, Silicon Valley, to everyone but you. How could you ever say that you're more free? How could you say that this is a land of liberty when you don't even understand how the system works?
What do you mean I don't understand how the system works? You seem to imply that the
I'm
people
stupid.
that I haven't heard of somehow have some mind control over who I voted for.
Yes, sir. It's called propaganda. You don't understand what you're even voting for.
Yeah.
How are you able to advocate for yourself
That
in a
doesn't make
system
sense.
where it makes absolute sense? It's just that you are too dull to understand
I'm
it.
too dull.
Yes, sir, you are.
You gotta be kidding.
So
Okay.
if you want to understand how the system works, you should probably go home and do a little bit of reading and find out what's happening
What should I read?
in America.
Tell me what should I read besides
Go
your book?
to anyone's campaign website that you're thinking of voting for. Look up their list of donors. Find out what their donors do, what businesses they're in, who they're doing business with. And then you'll understand why they're lobbying for what they're lobbying for and why they're funding who they're funding. And then you'll know what you're actually voting for.
Sure.
Dude, this guy is the worst. This guy was the absolute worst. Absolutely, like the worst arguments ever. Just, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Oh, come on. And everything that she said that he did in the last debate, that the little debate that they had, because these debates, I think they're all taped in one day and then they release them later. So I think on the last time when they did it, he was doing the same shit. This guy's got to be the worst fucking debater.
Hello.
By the way, too, a lot of the people on the left, like, they'll complain about corporate donors and all of these things. But then when we talk about, like, oh, let's say getting rid of voting or something like that, because that's what contributes to it, they'll be like, what? What? Are you serious? What?
Hello. So, repeat the question for me.
Universal suffrage destroyed America.
Well, what is universal suffrage?
That means everybody over a certain age gets to vote regardless of any other factors.
At a certain age.
Yeah, I think it's 21, right?
So why is it 21?
I don't know why it's 21, but everybody who's 21 gets to vote. Apparently, that's the arbitrary age that they decided you should have a say in how things are governed.
Okay, and well, where do I even begin? Universal suffrage. Who came up with that term?
Doesn't matter who came up with the term, but I can tell you what the term means. The term just means universal, meaning everybody.
Yes.
Suffrage means voting. It just means everybody can vote. It used to be that there were more qualifications that you would need depending on where you were. You may have a lot of places it was older. It was more like we're a little bit older, more established. You may have to be a property owner. You may have to pay a polling tax. Some places you had to be a certain religion, things like that.
Okay, so that could be manipulated, and they're trying to prevent that.
That's the selling point, yes.
That's the selling point. So someone's trying to profit off of that.
I think it sounds good to say everybody should have a say. I think that's it has broad appeal. On its face, it sounds logical and it sounds really nice. Like we all get a say. Everybody gets to decide what happens to our country. What I'm saying is that universal suffrage, ironically, does not do that. It does the opposite. It provides cover for these giant entities to come in and fund things, special interest groups, lobbying groups.
Okay.
And you end up with a giant political machine where you don't really know who's behind what you're voting for, how the policy is written. Most people don't even understand how the American government works. So to have all of those people just voting based on propaganda campaigns, ads that are run on TV, you'll hear women say things like, oh, I vote for Democrats because they care about the poor. And they really think that that's what they're voting for, when in reality, that's not what they're getting at all.
So why does society allow that to take place, to even occur?
Well, society allows it because, like I said, it sounds good. It's they think, oh, good, I'm going to get to have a say in how my country is governed. The people at the top who proposed this, the people who pushed universal suffrage, did it obviously because they understood hey, we can open up a lot of doors to lobbying groups. We can lobby for special interests. We can gain a lot of power in ways that we normally wouldn't, because we can use the media to run giant propaganda campaigns, get our guy in, and then from there we can kind of run things. So this is why you have lifelong crony government people like Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell making $59 million a year in Congress, which their salary is what, 200 grand, something like that. And it's because they're taking all this money from special interests and corporations and business partners, and then they go to Congress and vote based on what these people not on what you and I want.
Okay, so this problematic issue has occurred because of the fundamental foundation of this nation not foreknown by the forefathers.
No, the forefathers didn't set up this country to have universal suffrage at all. It was supposed to be a much smaller representative republic where you did not have people who were in government forever. It might be like an upstanding guy from your area. Say you live in Pennsylvania in a small town, and there's a man that everybody there has decided should run. They support him. He gets elected. He goes to Congress part-time for a couple months out of the year. He comes back home and he still has to run a business, run his farm, take care of his family. And there weren't all these giant special interest and lobbying groups. So it was completely different prior to universal suffrage. And that's the thing that opened the floodgates to this absolutely diabolical machine that we have now.
Now, also, the religion aspect, the church with Christianity, also is the blame itself, or partial blame, to even allow this, not to safeguard or protect the nation from these individuals or groups of individuals.
Well, I mean, the people who thought that was if you're talking about the church, that would be Protestants for the most part. Roman Catholics and Orthodox tend to be more monarchical. We are not necessarily people who are huge on democracy. It's kind of changed a bit in the modern age, but back then when the country was founded, it was an extension of the Protestant Reformation, which is just another revolution, really.
Okay, so what's going to be the salvation to this problem?
Salvation.
I don't know what the answer to that question is. I don't know if anybody does.
Understood.
Yeah.
Is salvation even a word? Did you just make up a new word? What's the salvation? Unless he said salvation, but I think he said salvation. Anyway, I mean, Rachel's 100% correct here. Like, but it just shows that these guys, like, they had no idea what they're talking about. Like, they couldn't even really debate on her level and really get into it, you know? And it's mostly people like this that are voting. In a way, it's like this whole debate itself is a reason why we shouldn't have universal suffrage. Because, yeah, like the politicians, it's much easier to appeal to people's emotions, you know? And so that, which is what the Democrat rhetoric has done. That's why they've been able to be successful, because they've had successful rhetoric. They appeal to people's emotions, and that's why people are all mentally ill now, and they're attacking people with violence because they've been manipulated emotionally. And absolutely great point. Great points brought up by Rachel Wilson. I think everyone, including myself, should educate themselves more on this topic because, or else we're going to turn out like these guys, especially that second guy. Second guy was a jackass. But what did you guys think about this? Sound off in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel if you really enjoy it. I have more content just like this. Also, too, I have the link to the original, this full debate down below. There's 2 more people she debates after this. So if you want to see the full thing, the link is down below on Modern Day Debates channel. And if you want to see more content like this, I have more on my channel as well. I have some on the screen that you could click away and enjoy.